Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the after show to the inaugural episode of Together We Roll. This is how they rolled. We have today, of course, the people here who are in the game. They're going to be stepping in and out. It should be interesting. Quite a few different people here. We have, of course, our creator here, Nicholas Wine. Woo! Yeah. Ooh, they even got a shouting guy. And Nathan at the end there, and the father here, David. These are the ones we will start with here because, well, that's what I want to do. And I'm Robert Lee, your host today. So, we guess we can just get right to this, guys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I have to, Nicholas, this has been asked by other people. This is being asked by me as well. I have to know, what was your inspiration for this game?
Okay, starting with that one. Yeah.
I mean the world and everything, so.
Oh, the short answer, we'll start with the short answer, I guess. One, voices in my head wouldn't shut up and I had to write something. The actual answer is more on fighting my inability to say what I wanted to say when I was at a young age, having a speech problem. So after I left martial arts, I decided to take another form of art that would make me speak in order to fight this thing I have. Even though it's minor, it still infuriates me that I wasn't able to say everything that I wanted when I wanted. So I started to, after recently, of a past group before this one, we started playing tabletop role-playing games. But I wasn't DMing at the time, and I decided to make my own game from it, and started to look around and started to make something. And eventually, over many months, years, and many sessions and failed attempts, I started creating this world. And that's what it is.
And
Your love child over many years.
found out that, yeah, he had a rather affinity for it, you know?
We've all been there, tried and failed. I've been like, I've been through so many campaigns.
Oh, yeah, speaking of.
Being a talented DM is
So
very,
speaking
very
of, I
fun.
mean, you are all related. You two are brothers.
Oh, yeah.
This is the father.
We are the Wine family.
Yep.
Younger brother,
How
oldest
long-
brother, and
Actually, age goes that way.
How old are you?
Sorry?
What is your age then?
old enough.
Old enough? Yes.
That's
yes.
a good answer.
Old
Yes.
enough.
You're welcome to try and guess in the comments. You get it right, I'll ping you.
Okay.
It's not that kind of show. But anyway, so
No, Dave doesn't pin the comment.
Too late. You can't take it back.
yeah,
here it
Jordan
comes
comes
now.
down. Can't undo it.
Stop typing. Stop it. Stop it.
Take your finger away.
So anyway, so how long have you guys been role playing together then? I mean, this is a family affair, obviously.
Yeah.
We've been role playing since I was 10, 12?
Yeah.
I
So
was
it's been a few
12.
years. Been a few years. He didn't start DMing until maybe 3.5, 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was a nice
I introduced
start.
him to the game. You know, saying I could show something that I did when I was in high school, and you know, I'm traveling a lot for work and stuff. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him, so this allowed me to get together. I mean, use our imaginations together, and they jumped into it really fast, and they started reaching out to friends, and it became this roller coaster thing.
Beat me up. Anyways.
Anyway,
Someone else in the house. So you know, it's really enjoyable that I get to do something that they're just as passionate about that I am, even though we've got, you know, a 30-year age gap. You know,
That's true.
So,
That's very nice. So you were playing yourself, David, a dwarf. Any
Yeah,
inspiration for this? Any inspiration for this big guy? For a little guy
Yeah,
who's a big guy. But
well,
anyway.
you know, I played several other campaigns with all our players here, but this one here, when we were asked by Nick to put together characters that for this new campaign that we wanted to actually put out as Together We Roll, I went back and I said I'm going to go back to my roots, and one of the characters that I played, I hadn't played a cleric in forever. And so I wanted to play a cleric, and I kind of like the rough, brute dwarf, but I was like, I wanted to do a twist on him and make him this, you know, the jester type archetype character where he's fun-loving and
Bombastic,
sort of,
loving.
bombastic.
Try
Good word.
everything
See, I
once.
mean, look at this. Who was speech issues uses the word bombastic? Okay, you know, and so
please don't point it out. I don't.
So
so Here comes
Dude,
Pip.
I know. It's like it's just the star of the show here. It's like, yeah, in episode 1, in case you all noticed that strange alarm sound in the background.
Yeah,
It's
we
chirping.
heard-
And it is chirping. Not like my phone you heard just a second ago. But no, this over here is Pippin.
Yeah, we have birds in our house, and our house is our studio. So you will hear them occasionally. We try to keep it as quiet as possible, as is not the main focus. We're not a bird channel, but
It is a home game, and you will hear various things.
you will hear various things. You'll hear the train in the background of our house, as we do live right next to a train track.
3 active red lights.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it can get pretty loud. But it is a house, so it does have functions, and it is used, and so.
Well, you know the benefit of sleeping next to train tracks is you can sleep through anything.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. But
No, it's not that
It's
bad.
not that bad.
It's not that bad.
But
It's
no,
not like it
you-
shakes the whole house.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe
It shakes the house a very little, but that's not the same.
Moving on.
So, Celestial's Edge, what is that? Vilmara, you call it.
The world is Vilmara,
The world
the
is
actual
Vilmara.
universe itself, as it is a full-size galaxy, is Celestial's Edge.
And this is your baby. You did create this from your own.
Yes, and originally when it was first created was on World 1, which is in the same universe. It's quite literally you just turn it to the left a little bit, the entire galaxy, and there's the planet.
You make it
Uh,
sound so simple.
But this was a previous campaign.
This was a previous
that we
campaign.
were playing as a group that hasn't been recorded. So
Yeah.
so the only recordings we've got are up here.
Fair.
And yeah, it was my testing grounds of becoming a DM, and
Right.
there were a lot of good ones and a lot of questionable ones of making story choices. I know you're not supposed to apologize for your story choices, but there are
It was
some regrettable ones.
Speaking of, I mean, your group has actually played together in the past.
Our entire group of what you see as the cast members of TWR, Together We Roll, has been together for over 3.5 years now.
Yes, they were called.
In the previous world? Oh,
Was
the
your group
Direwolves. They were known
Yeah.
as the
I
Direwolves.
didn't want to blow your thunder.
Blow your thunder. Not saying.
Yeah, that was the group name. We don't have a group name. We don't have a group name yet because I don't think the cast of characters have coalesced enough to figure out what they're going to call themselves. You know, maybe the Misfortunates or something.
Speaking
Because
of that,
apparently it's not.
It's a lot of highs and lows on the rolling right now. And
a couple of things too I noticed though during the first game, you know, the pie party, I think your first episode was called there.
yes,
First part I should say.
and it
for
was the
episode.
cooked goose for the second one.
Correct.
Yeah, that these names we've come up with after they've been recorded.
Well, yeah,
you never
that's how you
know.
do
To come up with it
Yeah.
ahead of time would be a little difficult because you don't know exactly what the characters are going
Yeah.
to do.
Well, I still make the just to antagonize the players a little bit, to give them a little bit of a taste for what's about to come. I throw
Taste,
some
I get
yeah.
it. Pie. Oh, yeah, anyway.
full circle. Anyway, I just throw something out there so that they themselves are able to have a little bit of fun. And we changed the name inevitably because the players are the most chaotic people on the planet. And that is 100% true every single game. It doesn't matter how much I plan. It doesn't matter if I plan for a single day, a single hour, or 3 weeks. It will change because of what you assholes do.
No plan survives first contact.
Yes. And there are some neat characters that the creators that you have. Well, characters I
Ginger.
mean as in the players. And
That's
there's
the
the other
second.
bird.
That's the other bird.
That's Ginger.
Mm-hmm.
But you have other characters that you play races wise. I've noticed some interesting ones. One that's almost like Android of style.
And on top of time,
Warforged.
as far as your
Warforged, it appears to be.
yes,
somewhat.
he is a Warforged, as for what the races are, and Warforged do
Right.
exist on Vilmara planet world. I will not go any further in, as he's not what people have already, the bookworms of the D&D already know, that he is not a normal Warforged. He's not the traditional 5e Warforged
Okay.
for every single stat of what he has.
And, yeah, we'll see how that evolves as the game
Yeah,
goes.
you don't even know yourself, do you?
Hold on.
You do?
Yeah, I got it all fleshed out. You just haven't seen half the backstory.
And he's the DM.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna have to tell me the
I wrote it like yesterday. I haven't put it to you yet. I haven't finished it.
Oh. Alright, let's see what I can get from that.
It's like 5 pages now.
All right.
Okay,
I mean, what else do you do when you're sitting in an ambulance when you're posted?
That's true.
That's
Word.
my job.
I mean, I do the
Anyways,
same thing at the retirement center.
so it's obviously your game, your world, your rules.
Mhm.
You obviously follow Dungeons and Dragons quite a bit.
Yes.
I see now. The Wizards of the Coast has got a great system. That is true.
Yes, over the 3 years, 3.5 years of playing with these people, we have learned that some of the rules. Well, first of all, vanilla ruling, it can get a little questionable depending on the situation. And after playing with it after X amount of years, you start to make your own rules to make it a little bit more fun and more appealing to your tabletop group that you have. And that's what I did with mine.
That's what, as you need to. You have to have your house rules to make it work right sometimes. It has to be mutually agreed upon and your rule anyway, so you are the DM.
Yes.
And on that note here, there was some questions that I had on that when I saw the dwarf over here. Prayer of healing. It's like,
I know.
So
I know
also-
that one didn't go. That didn't. Yeah. Remember, it was a long time ago since I played a cleric.
And I knew the spell to my head by heart, but I forgot one specific detail, which was the casting time. So,
Yeah.
yes, that was a mistake, but you know,
Well, here's what would have happened if it was identified in game.
we would have rerounded a little bit.
What I would have done is I would have cast another healing spell that I had that would have been legit
Yeah.
for one action casting.
Which is
and
not much.
not much, but it's still I would have woken up the gal on the ground, which happened to be Hazel.
yeah.
It was a choice between the turtle on the ground or Hazel. It would have been
Actually, it
Hazel.
would have been Sylvia too, because she was
yeah.
the
That's true. That's true.
So
There's a lot of people that went down.
it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, caught a lot of people, including the dwarf.
Oh, you
So.
went
Well,
outside
that was
yourself.
out. You made it outside at least.
So anyway, it wouldn't have changed too much. It would have changed a little bit, but I don't think it would have changed the.
It would have
outcome.
changed a few things, however, for simplicity's sake, I mean, things happen in the world that make you question everything that you know.
So
So
Mulios gave me a gimme. The god that Boadin follows.
Ah, also, it's
Okay.
different gods too.
Yeah, he printed up some of his own gods as well. So Mulios, I'm not going to expose who he is because we'll hopefully.
you do
all
all
know.
make your fingers.
Um,
right?
Thank you. Yeah.
But
That's what I say. You're a cleric.
Yeah. So anyway, Mulios.
Now you
Let him-
got me curious. We all want to know now. Come on, Mulios.
Stop.
No.
Stop it.
Mulios gave him a gimme and then took it away and said, "Okay,
It was kind
I
of
let
a,
you raise
yeah,
a
it was
couple people.
definitely
You can get out."
a give and take situation, especially since you were captured by the orcs.
Yeah. So if
They're
I
probably
get
having a good tea party with them right now.
if I come back as a cockroach, I'm going to choke some orcs. I'm gonna choke an orc out on the inside.
You'll find that this is a
Very
very
good. They probably eat cockroaches.
this group really hates both dwarves and orcs at this point. Like throughout
Why?
multiple
Hates
campaigns.
dwarves?
Well, for multiple
Oh,
campaigns, they've been
okay.
screwing us over.
Oh,
both
that's
ways.
work myself.
So
That's
on.
the Duragar. That's a Duragar. That's
The Dwarf are totally
Yeah,
different.
that was
Yeah,
different.
that's a dark dwarf.
Okay. A
potato
different
potato.
campaign. Totally different campaign.
Yeah.
Potato potato, you know.
It's
Who knows? You might love the dwarf.
Drow, high elf. What's the difference?
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Someone understands.
Not what I meant. Anyways.
Even Pippin's laughing.
Yeah. All right, guys. So,
Pippin.
So we're
by the
saying
way-
about a question every 20, 30 minutes now?
Yep.
Yeah, oh, for Pippin.
You're gonna have to do this a little
Yeah.
But anyway, Pippin. His name's from. Come on, Tolkien. Pippin.
Because he's Pippin all the time,
Mhm.
right?
No, he's the little guy that's got big guy syndrome.
So I know you probably can't go into a lot of the details in the campaign yet because, well, your players are here and you don't want to tell everybody else that's watching either because otherwise why watch?
Exactly.
But you have these burned orcs, apparently little lightning storm
The
orcs or
ash
something.
gray,
It's interesting.
the ash skin orcs that seem to be, at least the ones that you've seen so far, have been scarred in some way by some sort of lightning-like scarring somewhere on their bodies.
Stormworks or something. It
Something like
seems
that.
reminiscent of another game I played actually with
I'm sure.
some of the orcs, which is I'm
I'm
like,
sure
I'm
there's some
enjoying it.
sort of origin story from that, but I just thought it was a cool idea to,
It is.
to have
It's
some
very
sort of
nice.
ritualistic. I'm just stopping talking because.
He's gonna give something
Honestly,
away.
that's stop. So anyways, there wasn't a TPK, which is good.
No,
You didn't kill everybody.
no.
My question is though, it's like obviously since you had prayer of healing, regardless of the mechanics of that, you guys obviously aren't level 1.
No, the level 3 is where we're starting because level 1 One encounter can literally bring you from level 1 to level 3,
Correct.
as I found out on my first
You
campaign.
could have eaten the pie and been there, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Or die from things like pink eye,
Or a goblin.
Step in the toe.
stub your
A
toe.
singular goblin.
Bucket that decided to freeze because someone wanted to play prank. You know, the bucket above the door where it
Oh,
spills
that's
on you,
true, yeah.
but it froze that day. So
You trip over your friend who's fallen asleep on the floor.
That's-
Anything can kill you. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
D&D.
But, so we started at level 3 just to keep things rolling a little better, and so I could do something like this and have a little bit bigger scale battles than what you can do on level 1.
And I think some of the challenges we're facing, or at least I was facing,
Oh.
You're
is
level
that then
three.
level 3.
Yep.
Because
And coming off the Direwolves when you're like getting up there, way
16,
up there.
17, 18.
Yeah.
Level
You kind of
16.
forget you can't just charge into everything anymore.
It's no longer, hey, a dragon, I can take it. It's a dragon, run!
hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go through the characters that you have here created and go through some of the other players that are actually here as well. Bowden,
Mm-hmm.
he's a dwarf. You gave your basic description of
he's
him.
a- he's a
He's
hill
a
dwarf.
cleric. Hill
Hildor,
dwarf he is. Then.
Cleric, yeah, follower of Mulios.
Yeah,
I
I
will
was
not
gonna say-
share
I was
what,
gonna say
he,
more
what,
into
what,
the word.
what kind of god he is.
The dwarf god?
This,
Godly god.
Yeah.
yeah, this is,
God of the air? I'm going by the name, sorry.
No.
Yeah, well,
No,
anyways.
not saying
Sun?
anything.
yeah.
Stop trying to guess.
No, you can guess all you want.
Yeah, I can guess.
I can hear the comments already doing it.
Yeah.
That's your show, I got mine. Anyway. So, and you got the Warforged version, married with some other
Warforged
concept
plus.
or what have you, yes.
Warforged plus plus.
Okay.
There.
That's all you know too? Well, no, you know everything.
No,
He doesn't know everything.
He
even though
knows
it's
his
game.
backstory that he wrote out. He does not know
gotcha.
what I've done to what he is.
No, what is your basic backstory is my actual question.
Basic backstory?
Yes.
No.
I don't know if you want me to say that.
You don't?
I think you're
Well,
going
we
to
can say that, and it's quite obvious that what we started with, what we started on the first episode, is technically his origin story.
Basically.
Why is he doing what he's doing today?
I don't know.
Why was the bar built bigger and it looks like it was built to accommodate
Well,
me?
like I said,
No,
this
more
guy,
like, why did you learn to fight?
the end of episode 2, it's a kind of got into a little bit of that, I think, too.
Well,
So-
part 2.
Yeah, part 2, episode
Part 2, yeah.
Episode 1, part 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't there for that, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, we noticed that. And you got pulled away by a bunch of
Yeah, I know, I have
wolves
resentment
and orcs, and that was
Yeah, thrown out
So-
to it.
So, what's your new character going to be?
It's going to be a. I don't know yet.
We'll see. He's not dead necessarily.
No, I know because
we'll see.
the question is whether or not
We
he's
got a few
alive or
ideas
dead.
of what we
Because
could do.
he didn't say you're dead. He said
He-
it goes dark. So
He
I
didn't
don't
say your
know.
shit. He said,
I have no
He
clue.
said, give me your shit, you're done.
Yeah,
So
I
you're not the
don't
only
know.
one that they took, and they're not the only one they attempted
That
to
is
kill.
true. There's
Yeah.
something odd going on here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my brother cried on the first day. I'm proud of that.
And
It's like a little ninja.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So you got your basic story going there at least.
Yes, this is quite literally exploring his backstory on day 1.
You're a drunken, not drunken. Okay.
Right, no, come on now.
He was-
He's dwarf. I hold
He's
my neck.
happy.
That's
Yeah.
true.
happy.
Well, you're happy. You're always happy.
Happy
You
loose.
definitely like your food.
Oh, he's a foodie. He's a foodie.
The way you described him, the big rotund dwarf just sitting there with hair around, his beard wrapped around. A good visual of a dwarf. So, do the dwarves in this world of yours have, clans and such too that he's from, or?
Yes, I will say that it's pretty much like the classic dwarf. Most of the dwarves, at least in the area of this part of the planet and the kingdom, that I can't remember the name of the kingdom off the top of my head because I'm terrible with names. That's why I always have something behind the DM screen. But yes, yes.
Yeah.
I never do
They're
that.
quite literally the traditional dwarves. They follow Turok, at least a lot of them do. They are in the. I kind of want to have a lot of the world explored during these guys. I mean,
fair
a lot of
enough.
it was
Yeah.
going to be with Bowden, but that's changed a bit. So,
And I've
but
got.
I did mention in the introduction that they lived in what they believed what used to be a singular tall mountain
Correct.
that shattered into the shattered peaks.
I remember that
But,
in your explanation of the world.
So, that much I will give is that they do live in that region and they have their own kingdom of dwarves. But besides that, and they have their own clans and stuff like that. But besides that, I will not say what they are, what they do,
That's fair.
what their ideals are and stuff like that.
So then my only question then is your pantheons, because you went over it a little bit, all the gods created, split off. How many pantheons would you say you had?
A lot. I use. I grew up with the Pathfinder
Oh,
gods.
excellent. Okay.
So a lot of them are from Pathfinder. So there are going to be gods like the Raven King, like Salon Ray, like no, that's
Or the
that's
Raven
one of my
Queen, you
gods.
mean, right? You mean the Raven Queen or?
Salon Ray and Raven Queen. What I said?
Oh, Raven King.
Raven
Oh.
Queen is what I meant to say. Sorry about that.
I was like, oh wow, another one.
No, there's only one Raven Queen. And
Sorry.
the origins of the worlds, unfortunately, a lot of the people in this group don't have a lot of, in the ways of intelligence and studies of how the origins are.
that's really rare
So-
for us,
so-
apparently.
That is kind of
I mean,
funny, actually.
there's already been a few times where
Yeah. And you figure I'm wise. I'll run out the front door.
just because you're wise doesn't mean you don't do stupid things. Because
that's
the
not
reason
bad.
why you're wise is because you've done stupid
And
things.
that wasn't really
Yep.
stupid. You were going out to say, hey, there's more out here.
I
Let's go
wanted
deal
to,
with
I
the
was
issue.
going out to see what was going on and to do an assessment. And if I
You didn't know the whole
what was
army out there waiting
brilliant
for
was
you.
the held action that you had. Because man, if I was the player, I'd be doing this.
Same thing.
Hold action. You got your
Got the
direwolf
crossbow aiming
and
at
the
the
guy on
wall,
the
what have you.
spear.
Yeah.
Hold action. So it was a brilliant way to take me down.
And you can't tell me that I didn't warn you. I had
Oh.
one of the soldiers quite
Oh.
literally explode like
Oh.
a water balloon.
And looking back through the footage, you watch when I say I'm going for the front door, he licks his lips.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's like, find me.
his
There's
eyes-
someone's
his eyes
going
lit
for
up. It's
it.
like,
Someone's
oh.
going for it.
His eyes lit
But
up.
I say,
Everything was
I do
good.
love inflicting pain on my close family members. Love you, Father. Anyway, I'm gonna go.
So
get
that's
some-
all you know about the dwarf, and that's all you know about.
That's
no,
okay, we're all
these
masters.
Sparks.
He's gonna
Bowden
go
and Sparks.
Bowden and Sparks, yeah.
Sparks and Bowden. And we actually have somebody else here as well. It's like Kat, if you would like to join us here. This is the one who officially first kind of died, but no, she didn't really.
Hey,
She didn't really all the way.
I
die.
only almost died.
Exactly.
Excuse you very much.
Only almost. This is true. So your character Hazel is human, I believe, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if you want everyone else to know already as well, but it's like, oh, is she a wizard here? Or?
Yeah.
We're not going to do any of that.
Yeah.
We're going to wait until the next episode to go over
even
this.
we
more.
don't know. We don't know.
That's
And-
exactly. That's
and-
why I was wondering if you wish to go over this yet. So if you don't, I understand. So.
I'm not gonna say what exactly she is, but I will say that like I would like to see the wizard that runs up first thing and punches a fucking orc. I would really like to see that. I would like to meet that wizard.
Yes. Okay, fine. No, I think I know, but I'm not saying that yet. So okay, fine. We can play that game.
Honestly, I don't even know.
That's fine.
But I wasn't paying attention because they're just random people in my bar.
And you guys went over it a little bit in the bar. That, well, still a bar, I guess, is there. Your character gave a basic backstory a little bit, I believe. What was that, if you don't mind refreshing us all here?
She's been traveling for about a year. And I'm trying to like figure out how much I can say without going against other things, and I don't even have my DM in front of me to like shake his head and tell me no.
Oh wait! There's a finger.
So she's been traveling for about a year. She's going out, meeting new people, learning more about the world. And I think that's as much as I can safely say
That's
right
fair.
now. Because I have a lot of really cool things that are going to end up coming out in game at
She's
some
a
point.
fairly young human going around the world, getting to know it.
And I
An
had
adventurer.
I had a lot of really cool things that I wanted to share, and all I got.
And I still do.
It sounds like all of you do, actually.
Yeah.
Characters develop over
I
time.
don't know. We'll see whether or not Bowden even gets to. Well, we'll find
Well, when you got one episode out of the way, so you don't exactly learn everything about your character. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, because I'm here because my father died, and it's like I'm avenging his death, and it's like because
Tragic
I don't care,
backstory.
I just
Yeah.
met you. So yeah, in real life.
Drunks in a bar,
Yeah.
giving me their sob story.
Yeah.
Term TMI comes to mind.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're probably
pretty
used to
much.
that with as a bartender.
It's true.
I don't offer much advice.
He's a good listener.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Understood.
Good shoulder to cry on if you can reach it.
He
Not
isn't-
really. I mean, it's
No.
kind of metal.
Well, he does not have many emotions,
No.
but that is okay. I enjoyed that. Your character stood
I'm
out.
not
I
gonna
think,
leave that to them because
in more ways than one. It stood out because of that. Without you doing or saying much, said a lot.
You are no longer allowed in this establishment. Good day.
Bye.
Single mind, single focus. I loved it. Explosion goes
Yeah,
off
that was-
behind
that
him.
was
Arrows goes
brilliant.
through someone's face. No fighting. Sorry.
Oh, dear.
Please take it outside.
Oh.
It was great. No, I enjoyed that. I really did. Barroom brawl with orcs. What could be better? Oh, the pie beforehand, of course.
You can throw a dragon in there somewhere.
No,
Later, few
I-
more levels.
I
few
know,
more levels.
Nicholas. Give it time. Give it like another level or two. Wait, that's my
I need to be at least level 7 before I can
Oh,
actually say that. I need to be at least level 7.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I had a
I'm
comment
tracking with
here.
you.
You are a cleric. It was actually apparent when I saw the
I don't wanna
spiritual
die
weapon
yet.
go flying.
Oh yeah, my spiritual weapon.
Did you love his spiritual weapon? It goes flying. It had teeth. It was.
That was my favorite fight.
It was a mug. The tankard of doom.
Nom, nom, nom.
And I
Yeah,
didn't.
the nom nom nom. Yeah.
I mean, there was in a panic going through my paperwork, trying to figure out what I got that I can use, and I was like, oh, spiritual weapon, cool. What can I make out of it? And just before we'd done this, we started filming that episode, I was kind of digging through the cupboards going, I'd like to have a cup I can use, and I found that, and I was like, oh wait, this is kind of cool, this kind of work for my character. So I was drinking out of it, and then as I cast the spell, I'm like, what does it look like? What does it look like? And I'm there, I'm holding my cup, and I was like, and it's got a lid, and foam, and teeth, and it just went off, and that was the next thing, but it was going to be like this big, and taking heads off.
No
and stuff.
sword, hammer, no, nothing like that. Let's use a tankard. With teeth. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, drink killed him though. Oh, pardon me. No, it didn't get killed.
Anyways, let's see here. Didn't know I was a wizard, did you?
Thaumaturgy.
That's my cue to leave, right?
Yeah, go for it. Actually, yes, we
Right,
can
right,
trade you out
We'll
here.
do one person at a time. That works.
So, who else do we have here? We got Sparks here right now with Hazel sitting down. Bowden left just like he did in the episode at the end. It did get the emotional part. Everyone's having this strong, heartfelt emotion. A touching moment. Everyone's in tears. Not him. He's out drinking with the orcs. Oh, well. Anyways, who do we have
I
else
feel like that's
here?
already going to find him eventually.
We have Nathan, who is, what is it? Is that Davos?
Davros.
Davros. Davros, would you mind to join us over here?
Well, sure.
Enjoying this?
Well, he's
I don't
here.
know why I've heard enjoying this.
I'm going to enjoy Nathan right now. That's what's going on.
Oh yes,
Enjoy.
and thanks for wearing the
Yeah.
the shirt in
Oh, red
in
shirt.
honor of
The first to die, yes.
no, I'm not dead. Just
He's
went
not-
dark.
he's not
Not
dead.
the dead one.
The
Exactly.
distant voice of these people.
I'm not dead yet.
He
Yes,
says it's getting carved
it's,
off into the woods.
it's pronounced Levon, and the character is Davros. I hate letting people say my name. Apparently, I have to make it hard to
would have
pronounce.
said Levon, so, but it's like,
That's okay.
that would have been okay. How would they have said it?
I don't.
I won't even ask.
I've
Levon,
heard.
how are you, sir? Yes.
I'm great. I've heard Levon, Levin. I've heard all sorts of things.
Graduation's fun.
Oh yeah,
I can imagine.
substitute teachers growing up all the time.
I have one of those great names myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Lee. Are you related to General? Or my Asian friends? Are you Asian? No. So, yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah, that's it.
Sadly, they can pronounce mine, unfortunately.
At least you have that.
Hmm?
At least you have that.
I do have that. That is true. So you play. What is your character? Why don't you give us a brief background of what you did?
Well,
Just a
my,
basic, of course, as no one knows who you are.
yeah, my character is a sea elf rogue.
The blue-skinned one. Yeah.
Yes.
Where are they?
Yes. A sea elf rogue. I specifically went scout because with going into a campaign, knowing that we would film it, I knew that it would make things a lot easier if I went with a class that I knew well, and I really, really like rogues. And so I was like, oh, I've never played a scout before, sure. And I kind of, oh, I've never played a sea elf before, sure. And I just kind of was choosing things I hadn't done before while still playing a rogue, and then from there I kind of came up with this character and his backstory and his demeanor and all these things, and then I sent Nick this big long thing, and he's like, okay, so we're gonna have to talk because you are not from this country.
That is.
We're gonna have to discuss why the hell you're here.
Oh, and now, and of course, the DM is away here. I was going to ask Nicholas about that. It's like, why was your character so well sought after? Maybe just because of Rogue, I guess, perhaps. But
And also just it's unusual to see a sea elf around, and so people are just like, did you see there was an elf, but he was blue, and if you look closely, he kind of had gills. Like, I'm just a person, guys. No, come on.
that's true.
Come on.
You're just a person.
Come up and talk to me.
Nothing
Don't
wrong
just be
with that.
obsessing over my blue skin, you know?
Well, as you put your hood up in the middle of it, it's like, where's the guy with the blue skin? No.
I figure we're.
Not that way.
I figure to start with, we're not by any like beach or anything. So I figured he's been on this. He's been in this country for at least a few days to a week, just walking around, just wandering, looking for something. It's probably not the first
So
time
it's
he's
not a
done.
Dock City. Okay.
Yeah, he's just sick of this. So someone comes in, did you see there was a sea elf? And he's like, oh fuck it, and he just puts his hood up. I don't want to deal with it. I just don't want to deal with it.
That makes
That
sense.
was his
makes
mindset.
sense. That totally makes sense. How about that? So, roguish and
Oh yeah,
sea elf at that. Okay, so we're getting to know you guys. So it's
we're working on it.
a little slowly surely but surely. Yeah, surely but surely. No, slowly but surely. Something like that. And apologies about my phone. The thing keeps making the weird noise here. It's like, no, I mean, I'm a wizard. Yes, that's right.
We're
Thaumaturgy.
sticking with that story.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the story. I'm a wizard. I never play one, but I'll do one now. Yeah. So I'd like to actually continue with Chris here, if I may. If you can come on in here, Nathan. Yes, thank you, sir.
Be gone.
Be gone, Nathan.
I'm here.
Your character, I believe Derek, was a human.
Yes, he is a human.
Give me a brief description, if you will, of him. Just the overall that they would know here after this episode here.
All right. He wears black. He wears a mask. He has a black hat with a feather in it, and he
Zorro.
has a foot. Yes.
Zorro. Excellent.
Well, he is a fighter, or he says he's a fighter,
Oh, he only says he's a fighter.
That's right.
Oh, mercy.
but he's more than that.
Well, I hope so.
Yes.
Swashbuckler, whatever. I'm not going to guess all this again. So.
That would be a good
I
guess.
already tried. Oh, thank you. But I've tried this already with some of the others. Yeah, it's.
You can't break us, except for him. But
Yeah, he already gave me the whole spiel up before the show. So
It's
yeah.
more fun to find out as the game progresses.
Yes, it very much is. It's like I'm actually looking forward to the next episode here myself. So let's see here. Where should we go? Where is your character from? What does he do? What's his goals? What's his? Don't tell me any of it.
Well, he hasn't actually told the backstory to the other characters yet.
We should.
So I really
Probably
didn't want to get into that.
shouldn't,
He is
yeah.
from another city though, and he is on the run
Ooh.
for various reasons, which you will discover.
So the
as
City
the
Watch here
game
would
continues.
love to get to know him a little bit better too. So
Fun. So you are also from out of town, if you will.
Well, I'm in the same continent, but yeah.
I'm sorry, not all of us are as out of town as you are, weirdo.
I'm gonna start saying that.
Yeah.
If anyone asks, it's just, I'm just from out of town.
Well, I will say he's from the city Florence, and that's about as much as I will
he's
reveal
from
it.
Italy, people.
He's
Well,
town.
no, that's just the name I came up with. So
That.
it's the name that popped into my head, so that's the one I'm going with.
No, I like it. I like it. So we got humans. We have blue people, sea elves. Is your hand webbed? I just gotta ask.
A little. Not completely, but
It's
a
not
little.
super prominent.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
2. Web's a little
Two.
further than normal. Yeah.
Just a little.
The toes are completely webbed, though.
Ooh.
Sounds fishy.
All right.
Ooh.
Smells fishy
Get
too.
the fuck out of here. That's fishy.
So that noise was not me because I heard it again. Oh, I know where it's coming from now. No. Don't mind me. We don't know anything. My magic just goes and goes.
We're sticking with the wizard story.
Of course, that's the most believable.
Ignore the iPad here. Master One! Floating iPad. Watch it disappear. Anyhow,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean,
10 out of 10.
I practiced for hours for
Should
that.
have a show in
really.
Vegas.
I can do card tricks. It's the biggest card I ever used, though, I have to say. So anyways, there are actually some questions here we actually got from some viewers here already as well.
Cool.
So what do we have here? It's got something from this MKG. Oh, to all players, okay? Well, how are you introduced to D&D yourselves? Who wants to go first?
Yours was the longest to go. Do you want to start?
Okay, I started playing D&D when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend Chuck introduced me to his friends that played every Sunday, and they let me into the group, and that's how I got started playing.
Yeah.
So
Not
we played every Sunday afternoon.
Not to date you, but how long ago was this?
Well, let's see. I graduated high school in 1983, so that'll give you some idea of how long.
Yeah.
There has been quite a bit of gap between when I started playing and versus when I picked up playing again.
Of course.
But it's been a while.
That's great.
So,
Everyone has their stories for these.
I'm a gamer though, so I do
Oh,
enjoy
die
playing
hard
games.
gamer,
I
yes.
play all kinds of games, and yeah, Dungeons and Dragons was one of the first ones that I started out
Board
with.
games, video games.
All games, yeah, all kinds of
You
games.
are like me. I'm
Yep,
simpatico.
yep.
I like this.
Yep,
Yeah,
You and me.
it's fun.
it
It's a
is.
good way to use your imagination.
I mean, you start first.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, she's in line, so she does go next.
Yeah.
So I started my senior year of high school playing a GURPS Star Trek game.
Oh, I love you now.
It was beautiful. I had never played tabletop role-playing game before, and I hadn't really watched Star Trek before that, so I was totally like,
Really?
well, I mean, like, I was really nerdy about other things, but like, I wasn't a huge sci-fi person.
How did you start playing games?
We're done. No, it's not even that. First
You
said
learn
something about
real
Star Trek.
quick.
I guess.
You learn really fast, and you watch as many episodes on Netflix as you
First
can
she
before they
said
take it off.
she liked Star Trek. I said, I don't know what it was though.
Interesting.
No, it's okay.
Um,
I understand.
It's
that.
almost like a
Sorry.
reversal. You play the game first, and then you go
There's-
back.
Sorry,
and
I was a
watch
fantasy person, not a sci-fi person.
All right, that's good.
That's a good answer.
All right,
that makes sense.
I can deal with that.
And so, my first character's name was Alice O'Carroll. She was as like stereotypical Irish as I could possibly make her. She was weapons, and she literally had hid flasks over the entire ship, so that at any point she could just like reach out and start drinking. But I mean, like in GURPS for Star Trek, you're not allowed to be a full-on alcoholic.
Why not?
Like something about the Federation. Like you can have a flaw.
Oh, synthahol, yeah. of
Yeah,
course.
synthahol.
Yeah.
You can't get drunk.
You don't get drunk.
Exactly.
You got to get the Scotch stuff that's in the background.
Well,
there.
like they didn't want to have a full-on alcoholic, but I was able to take the flaw, drinks frequently,
Your
so I
puppets
took
are
it.
good. Oh, how funny.
And so that was my first game. It was an insane amount of people because it was like through a club at my school that
Okay.
it was two clubs that got combined together because we were all geeks, so it just became Geek Club. And my high school English teacher, who I'm still friends with to this day and still play D&D with, was my DM for that. And that game went on for like 2 years or so, but really infrequent just because of how many people. There was like 12. It was insane. I had no idea how we managed to DM all of us. And then I got into like playing regular D&D and like Changeling. But the DMs that I had for that were an ex-boyfriend, and he and his brother were constantly like jumping around. They could never do more than 2 games of a thing before having another idea for a totally different game. And it's like, but I just,
Oh no.
okay,
So you invest
sure.
the time to build the character and.
Yeah, and, like-
Yeah, no.
And it was always tough because like they didn't really explain fully enough for me to like be able to make a character on my own. It's just like, okay, you want this, okay, this, and it's just like, but I want to do the thing. I want to do the thing.
That's a shame.
And so now I help other people, and I'm like, okay, so
That's
this is why you do this.
which you need to do when you're teaching someone a new thing. That's good. Excellent.
Your turn.
I've been probably
Yeah,
naturally the natural progression of things.
exactly.
I've been playing D&D probably the least amount of time of anyone here. I started about 3.5 years ago or so, and then I distinctly remember Kat offering to help because she had been playing for since high school and stuff. And then my first campaign was really, really weird, but I was still into it. I still was having fun, even though I had no idea what was going on. The DM was using this really weird, overpowered system. So, but we had been playing for a few months, and we were practically gods, kind of thing, and it was just weird.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, I wasn't really clear on the plot either. I was just confused. And then I joined up with a different game, and then I got invited to this one, and then someone else started a different campaign, almost all at once, in a period of a few months. A bunch of other games started up, and I got way more into it than I already was. And now I've slowly but surely turned into one of those people where I've just got multiple bags of dice, and I'm constantly just, God, I came up with a new character, number 4,000. I'm never gonna play them.
That's a lot.
That's so funny. I'm very similar myself. It's mine was not 3.5 years ago. Mine was the third.
We're not gonna worry about it.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was similar because the first time I played it, it's my friend was DMing and, oh yeah, you are now you get this super powerful weapon, and it's you are God, and so he's literally trying to tell me what choices to make. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Oh, you really don't want to do that. I did that. Make it happen.
That's fair.
No, I saw his character sheet because we were trying to figure out how to start the same character but at a really low level for something
Okay.
else, and so we were trying to figure out, and it was impossible. He had plus 30 to stealth.
Well, no. One weird thing I remember him doing was instead of taking the skills from the abilities and then adding proficiency if you did it, they would both be separate things. So it was dexterity was plus 19 modifier,
Yeah.
and then the stealth was plus 49.
Yeah, it was
and you would add
absolutely
both
More
of
insane.
them.
powerful than the gods.
And
That's
you
It
would
what
add-
I read.
insane.
You would
I
add
was
both of
trying
those
to
to the roll.
understand this character sheet, and I have no idea how he was doing this.
He wasn't a rogue. He was a ranger.
Thankfully, you found better after that.
Yeah.
As did I after my experience. So thank God for that.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now.
Right.
at all.
I think that's a common mistake. Balancing the game is probably the most difficult thing for a DM to do.
100%.
And they either
yes.
go one way or the other. They make it either too hard or
You gotta be in the
or
middle
too
with it.
powerful.
You
And
gotta be in
it's
the middle.
better to err on the side of too weak
It is.
rather than too
For
powerful.
the characters.
Because if you make it too powerful at the beginning, then I guarantee you
nowhere to
the
go.
players will lose interest
Hey.
because there's no challenge.
It's true. Well, at first level characters, it's usually can take on
First
skeletons.
level,
They can take on skeletons. I DM my first time DMing.
Mhm.
Small room, about say a 10 by 10 room. There's 10 skeletons in there. There's 3 in this party,
Oh, no.
and they go in. The village says, "Turn undead," standing in front of the door. Where are the skeletons supposed to go? So I had TPK my first round of battle
Oh.
as a DM. So, anyways, so it never goes right. That's
That
the whole
happens.
thing.
No.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I let him keep the same characters. that was bad.
Of course, that's just upsetting.
And I mean, kind of along the same idea too. It's impossible. It's so much more fun when your character fails at something too.
Oh, it is.
It makes it so much more
If there's
fun
no danger,
story-wise.
if there's no danger too, it's really not even fun anymore.
And it definitely adds to the character development because how does the character deal with failure? How does the character deal with success? It's
And-
not just about give me
It's
as much
true.
magic power I can get right off the bat. No, you got to work your way through it.
Yeah, and I mean it's really funny when somebody fails stealth, but they think they're doing really
Oh,
great,
that's so fun.
That's when it can get really fun.
and it's you're holding a single leaf in front of your face.
Yeah, what I've always liked about GURPS, for example, you always can make your own. You put points into your
Yeah.
creation of your character, make your stats as you want. I kind of like D&D rolling for your stats though at times too,
Yeah.
because then you kind of have to work in that too. It's
Yeah.
two different dynamics, granted,
Yeah, they're totally
but
different.
it's amazing when you roll. It's like I play a dwarf cleric. That was the wisest person you ever saw, most wise. He wasn't all that bright. He wasn't stupid, but and then just very low dexterity. So yeah, he'd fall over his own feet basically walking down the street. Say, oh, I got a 9 dex, yay! Can I re-roll that? You already did. Oh yeah.
In the Dire Wolves, I was playing a rogue thief named Bryn, and she ended up with 20 dex, and her strength still at the end of the game was 6.
Oh my gosh.
She had a 6 strength.
Wow, that happens.
If you don't need it, if you try to get good at all 6 of the main abilities, then your character doesn't actually become very interesting. Whereas if you're playing a character that you don't really need one particular thing, it creates a lot of character in your role playing when they're just battle something. Like we had a paladin who had I think like a -2 to dex, and so he was so helpful in a fight. My God, he was this big beast of a knight kind of thing
With his smite juice.
with his giant tankard of smite juice, and then we would have to be sneaking through some area, and my
Not gonna happen.
God, it was
Yeah,
like, all right, we have to be quiet in this area, and Percy would just be like,
Squeak!
fuck yeah.
Anyhow, guys, I have to say, I thank you all for this. Appreciate the time. If we could here, though, we got Mac over here. Let's get him in here and get a few questions out of him.
All right, bye y'all.
Step on in, Mac.
If you have to.
If you have to.
Hope the black tape isn't for me.
Sure.
Well, why not? So,
Hey, I've died more than any other character here.
well, Sonny.
true.
I like the character's name too, Sonny. He's a happy half elf.
He is. Well, he's a sad half elf
Why? Well, how come he's so bright and sunny?
because he's fighting his nature, which is darkness. He's a shadow sorcerer, consumed by shadows, and he fights it all the time.
See, why couldn't you guys give me all the information like he is? I like it.
I've been playing probably as long as all of them put together.
Oh, understandable. Yeah.
35 years.
No, we're about the same age. But yeah, very nice.
So,
So what's your inspiration for your character that you have here?
I've never in 35 years played a sorcerer, so I thought I'd go play a sorcerer, and everything else seemed cliche, so I picked the one new one that was out there.
That's true. D&D 5th edition actually does well for the sorcerer. I like that too.
And
I like the warlock class for what they did with that most. I think clerics. Okay, fine. I like all the characters. They did a good job.
I try to play something different completely because it's not about the stats and it's not about
Sure.
any of that. It's all about the story.
Oh, very much so.
So we try to give the story as much life as possible.
You have to, otherwise, why do you do what you do? Okay, roll the dice. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. Moving on. Next room. No.
Well, we spent
That's an element.
It's
That's
not fair.
the
It's
only
not. It's
element.
not fair to the DM.
Well,
It's not
that's
fair to
right.
the players.
Exactly.
last game that we played, which you'll see shortly. We met in a bar. This is fantastic, and we actually ate pie.
I know. That was the first episode.
Yeah.
That's what this episode's about. That's
Yeah,
what we're
that's what
talking
I'm
about. See, this Matt is the one who came to the door, by the way. He didn't know what we were talking about. So yes, this whole episode has been about the first episode.
So
We are the show after the show that's after this show. Before the show.
I think it's great.
Something like that. We're a show here, okay, guys?
Whatever you say.
Thanks. See?
I love these guys' new characters. They're fantastic.
They were fun.
His was cracking me up the whole time.
They were a lot of
and
fun.
I've never had pie before.
And speaking of cracking up, unfortunately he's not here to talk about it. Jace's character.
Oh,
I'm
my
sorry.
brother
Yes.
in the game.
I'm sorry. Oh, he actually is your brother. I saw the connection there. I was wondering.
Yeah, we're brothers.
Actual
And
brother. So you can actually help me answer this. His pet rock Flan.
Flan, who eats flan. And when he sets it down, I distract him and I press to digitate the flan away, so he thinks it actually ate it.
That's what.
But you have to understand, Sonny is, and I'll say this as politely as hell. He's creepy as hell underneath everything because he's all white and he looks like he's dead.
Oh my.
He's not undead, it's just because of the shadow sorcerer.
They are.
So
That's
he sends his brother forward to communicate with everybody. And that just turns into hilarity most of the time.
Barbarian is just too funny.
Interesting dynamic.
Yes. We're both charismatic, but he
Wait.
people love him.
Wait. Flan wants some cake and pie.
Yep. Oh, look at that. He ate it. Oh, is that a bird? And he looks away and it's like, that's gone. Flan ate it all.
That's so fun.
And that whole conversation, Davros was just rolling with it because he's like, oh, these land folk, they have strange tendencies, but sure, why not? Why question it? I'm in their land.
Hey, we were giving everybody pie. They were happy.
Yeah, and Flan actually was good in a fight, so there you go.
Flan is great in fight.
Yes.
But the idea, the concept of that whole first encounter was that Flan and Barian and Sunny were looking to form a group with somebody. So he was trying.
I added Flan into that too. So.
Flan's part of the family. He's a growing rock.
Okay, if that happens, I'm afraid already too, and it's just a story.
If you get
I'm
it,
excited.
I wouldn't put it past them somehow.
if you get a chance,
Increase the size of the rock.
yeah, if you get a chance, do a close up on the rock. It actually has a face on his figure.
I
Oh,
actually
here's
haven't watched
here's
that.
another question.
I need to
from-
take a look at it.
Here's another question we got from one of our reviewers here. If you had your way, if you're DMing yourself in a sense, how would you want your character to die? By Flan, of course.
You go first,
Oh boy.
since
This-
you've been the closest.
This particular
Medically assisted.
this particular character, I mean, in elf years, he's still relatively young, and so I think he probably doesn't really think about death. He'd rather just not die at all.
Mostly
But
immortals for an elves, yeah. So.
yeah, if he were to die, if there were to be a death that he might be okay with, it would be probably just defending someone that couldn't defend themselves. You know, he's not really a fan of bullies or attacking civilians kind of thing. Which is why after this first episode, after this whole bar fight of just coming in and attacking women and children and the poor musician in the corner kind of thing, it's just like, hey Davros, you want to come fuck them up? And he's like, yes I do. I have no stake in this, but that is fucked up. He has defending the innocent. If he went down like that, he'd be like, okay, if I gotta go.
Good answer. How about yourself?
Well, I have the distinction, like I said earlier, of being the player who's had the most deaths in any game that this group has played.
We should have asked you first.
And well, no, I've brought tears to people's eyes with my deaths.
Yes.
Like it was worth it.
Oh, that, yeah. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
So if Sunny were to die, Sunny's trying desperately. You haven't seen it yet, but you'll see it in the future. He's trying desperately to be a dick, but he's not. And because he tries to keep everybody at arm's length, because he doesn't want anybody to see it. He doesn't want to reveal what he looks like because he's afraid people will go away. So his thing would be, I think if I had a dream death for him, he'd probably go down saving Barian. And because that's kind of one of his motivations is to protect his brother. That's his whole thing.
Sibling love, nothing better.
As the backstories unfold later, you'll find that basically Sunny's whole reason for being where he's at is making a family choice to protect his brother. But you'll get more of that later in the
Yeah,
story.
don't tell us.
That's backstory stuff.
We'll get that later. I'm gonna force it out of everybody later.
Sounds like a plan.
And how about yourself?
How would I want Derek to die? As quickly as possible.
Good answer.
Yes.
Thank you. Someone had to say it.
Last time I had a dragonborn being slowly eaten by a land shark, and that was very frustrating to see that happen. And there was nothing I could do to stop it.
I just heard Nicholas laughing in the background. Let me guess.
He got great joy from that, and it was horrific for me.
But you made it out. You
Yes,
survived.
somehow he survived, and I was
Survived
totally
all that
amazed because I kept thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to get out of this? His feet is sticking out of a land shark's mouth, and I don't see any way out of this. So, as quickly as possible would be preferred.
Well, guys, I thank you all for coming here. We're going to be starting the game now, or leaving another game, I should say. I'm getting ready to leave myself, so you guys have a wonderful time. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for
Thank you.
hosting.
Of course, it's my joy, my happiness. It's how I get to play here too. So there you go. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful time. Until next time. So they roll. No, now it's going to be together they roll. You know what? We're just going to roll it.
How they roll.
Roll it up. How they roll. Well, so they
looking
roll.
at the screen, it
Well,
says how they roll.
I call it
Right here.
so they roll. Apparently, it got changed again. So, anyways, it's all good. How they rolled it is for now. So, anyways, have a great time, guys. Until next time.